West African Monetary Institute, Taiwo Oyedele, Fiscal Policy Partner and Africa Tax Leader, PwC, and Fadekemi Abiru, Editor-in-Chief of Stears Business. Together, we will continue our Independence Day conversation, analyzing Nigeria's economic future as we turn 61, and also take a look at the President's Independence Day speech and what is to come for our great nation. My name is Nancy Naji, and welcome to Moneyline with Nancy. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms, Moneyline with Nancy TV, and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. So many resources for you to get there. Go there right now. You watching me. Yes, you watching me. You can go on our YouTube channel right now. Just click on the icon. When you click on the icon, just type Moneyline with Nancy TV. Once it comes up, subscribe. Just hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to like our page or our channel once we come up. You can also find us on other social media platforms, on Facebook and co. Let's quickly take a break right now, and when we return, we will get into the conversation. Please join us again.
Hi, my name is Chikwe Ihekwazu. I lead the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, an organization I've led for 5 years. Today, marking the 61st anniversary of Nigeria's independence, I reflect on these 5 years as an incredible learning opportunity. And the most important thing I've learned in these 5 years is that we can't change the system. We can build a new country. My experience here at NCEC shows that it is possible. We started from very little. We've built an organization that works, that supports Nigeria, has responded to the biggest pandemic of our lifetimes. Now is the time to change the health sector altogether. It will come with some pain, it will come with some sacrifices, but the work that we've done at NCC really demonstrates that it is possible to change the health sector, it is possible to change the country. So today, as we celebrate 61 years of independence, to encourage all of us not to give up, to try and look just a little bit outside the box and trust that the group of people that we have to work with can make the difference for our country.
Sincerely, we have not gone anywhere, no achievement so far. And I'm very pleased for this opportunity, because when you look at around us, we look at countries that are better off than we. After how many years of independence? Over 70 years of independence. What is our achievement? Our country is gradually degrading. Insecurity, lack of paucity of electricity, the educational system is degrading, and this is unfortunate. Nothing to write home about. It's very unfortunate. I'm very sorry to be a Nigerian.
I said there's nothing to celebrate. I don't think it's necessary. It's just a way of wasting money. To me, no. That's my opinion. Because the country is at least killing everywhere. So what are we celebrating?
If you ask me, if you take a specific data on how many people wants to leave this country, youths like us, you find out that we like over 90% who wants to leave. Those that are saying they are doing well, they don't have the opportunity to leave. If they have, they will leave. Even when they have billions in their account, they will still leave. They don't have electricity, no road. When you're sick, it's a death trap. You only pray to God. No medical, they themselves up there, they know. That's why they don't participate on all these things they think they provide for us. They say they provide school for us. Are their children coming to the school? They provide hospital for us. Are they receiving a medical treatment here? No, what they do is go abroad. And they are expecting us to stay here and receive those things they say they provide as basic amenities.
Dubai that started just recently. Just few years. We are from Nigeria now, we are proud of Dubai. People go to Dubai to go there and have good time instead of in our country. If we have put the attention here in our nation from our leaders, this nation would have, just like you said, would have been a center of attraction. But we believe that good things are still coming.
The youth of this great country remain propellants for our today and provide guarantees that we will have a secure tomorrow. It is for this reason that I remain focused on expanding opportunities for their participation in politics and governance. Recent appointments of young people into positions of authority and their track record so far gives me confidence that we need to bring more of them into governance, and this I promise to do. More specifically, to encourage girl-child education, female scholarship schemes, life skills, and digital literacy skills to boost girls' enrollment, retention, and completion of schooling are all initiatives put in place to ensure gender balance in appropriately positioning our youth for positions of leadership.
All right, welcome back to the program. In case you're just joining us, it's our Independence Day special. We're still continuing that Independence Day conversation because all through this month, of course, it's still our Independence Month. Like I said, before the break, I have my guests joining me. I have here in the studio Dr. Ngozi Egbuna. She is a former Director General of West African Monetary Institute. Doctor, welcome and thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Nancy. Thank you so much for inviting me.
All right. I also have virtually Taiwo Oyedele. Taiwo Oyedele is a fiscal policy partner, Africa tax leader at PwC. Mr. Oyedele, welcome to the program. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you for having me.
Okay, good. Fadekemi Abiru is the editor-in-chief of Stears Business. Hello, Fadekemi. Welcome to the program. Congratulations to you. You've taken over from Toks, Tokumbo Afikuyomi Jr. Welcome. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
Now,
Glad to be here.
yes, let's get started. And let me start with Doctor here in the studio. Doctor, yes. Nigeria at 61, your perspective.
Okay. Thank you very much once more. Most people are not too comfortable celebrating, but I am very, very optimistic. I see a good Nigeria. I am of the generation that met what we assume was a good Nigeria. And then we have what we have now, where we don't even have basic amenities at our disposal. But then there are things that are being done presently that give us a glimmer of hope. For me personally, when you look at the young ones and see their drive and their passion for Nigeria and to succeed as human beings, then I know that there is hope for Nigeria. So at 61, we haven't done badly. Everybody, it's a cycle, you know, in life, and everybody has the good times and the bad times. We are going through the rough times now, but there are things and indicators that will show that we are on the right path if we keep doing what is good and play down on the bad side. The bad things happening in Nigeria are really, really bad. You know, with insecurity, with inflation, with loss of hope for many Nigerians. But then, do we have another country? No. And this is the best country we have, and Nigeria is a fantastic place. Wherever you go, you would always want to come back to Nigeria. So let's keep the hope alive.
I like that wherever you go, you always want to come back home. Right. I know I have that experience. Whenever I travel out, highest max is 10 days.
As soon as the plane takes off,
yes,
you're like wondering, when am I coming back again?
And I'm feeling, I need to go back home, I need to go back home, I need to go. I don't really feel comfortable, you know, outside there. But anyway, let me bring in Mr. Oyedele. Taiwo, speak to us about what you think, Nigeria at 61. I don't know where you were in 1960. And just like Doctor has said, is hope a socio-economic currency now that many Nigerians are having, or we've lost it?
Yeah, thank you very much. I wasn't born in 1960, so I didn't know whether I was in heaven or wherever I was, but I wasn't born. So I think, you know, maybe we should start by saying that Nigeria is us. So there's always a tendency for people to think that Nigeria is President Buhari, or it's the governors or the lawmakers. I think it goes beyond that. It is all of us. I do admit that those leaders have more responsibilities than the rest of us in terms of making the economic work, not only work, but work for everyone. So if you look at our journey as a country over the past 61 years, I'll say it's been a mixed bag. So there are certainly things that we need to be proud of and be grateful to God for. And those things include the resilience of our people. It includes our can-do attitude and the hard work, the sense of community. The social fabric is still very strong. Even though we don't have a formal social security system, people support themselves, families, friends. And those are things we should not take for granted. It's one of the reasons, like your guest was saying, it's one of the reasons why even when I travel, I want to be back very quickly because I just don't find any other place on earth that has the same feel that I get from Nigeria. But that's not to say that everything has been rosy. In fact, you look at many of the indicators and it seems that we've been retrogressing. Unfortunately, even though we have no business going backwards in terms of our development, everything else seems to be in place except for leadership and sometimes the followership. So, but I think it's still a moment for us to, take a breath, and then be grateful, be thankful, and then think about what we can do differently and the role that we individually have to play, as well as our collective roles in making Nigeria the country of our dreams.
Okay. Fadekemi, let me come to you. You are a bit younger, I guess, amongst Taiwo Oyedele and Dr. Egbuna here. Can you sum up, in your own perspective, Nigeria's Diamond Jubilee +1? Perhaps stories from which your parents had told you or your relatives and what you're living through right now. Even as the editor-in-chief of Stears Business, some of these economic data, both of us look at it every day. And I said last week on the program that perhaps I need to see a psychologist soon if I'm not down with PTSD. Why? Because of the kind of data that I'm always privy to every day, the kind of news you wake up to every morning. There seems to be something new, perhaps in the bad. The doctor has said we should play down on our negativity, but what do you think?
Thanks, Nancy. So I think where I'll just start from is what was said earlier about, the important thing as we think about like Nigeria's future is thinking about a way to make the economy work for everyone. And essentially when I try to answer that question, or when I try to like reckon with that insight, essentially like a big thing that just comes out is looking at the set of policies the set of policies that we have available to us right now and how we use them. So when I talk about these policies, I just mean like things from monetary policy to fiscal policy. With monetary policy, that's just essentially the set of tools that are used to control the money supply in the economy. And, the primary objective there is always to make sure that we're achieving a combination of stable prices or, so that we don't have a situation where inflation is getting out of control, and also steady economic growth. And the main way that we see monetary policy being practiced is, through increasing or decreasing interest rates. So if you were to lower interest rates, for example, that means that you're trying to like get more supply of money into the economy. People can borrow. It's cheaper for people to borrow. They can then spend, and then the economy is booming, right? And so essentially like that, and the reason I start with monetary policy is I feel like that is probably what we hear about a lot in the news. Like that seems to be like a very active form of policy, right, in Nigeria. And sometimes it's just kind of like thinking more widely about, what other tools are available to us. And so then you start thinking about like the likes of fiscal policy, which is where, you want to start thinking about like your government spending. So when we think about the key components of what it takes to actually grow the economy, like make the economy work better for people, government spending is a key component of that, like in addition to consumption by individuals, investment by businesses, also like our net so like exports and imports as well, so like trade, how that is coming into the economy. And so government spending accounts for 10% according to the latest data. So it accounts for like 10% of, our GDP. And, it's important that the government itself has enough revenue so that they can then go on to spend money in like a very productive manner. And the main way that they can do this is by making sure that their revenue base is quite solid. And we've talked, I feel like, for a long time, people have always talked about, the fact that our government revenue depends so much on oil. And we've seen, like, with the impacts of the pandemic, for example, how precarious how much of a precarious situation that can put us in, like with the pandemic, oil prices went down as the whole economy slowed down. And so there was a demand slump. So there's that risk factor there when we're focusing too much on, just one source of revenue that the government earns money through. And so people are now starting to think about, and we now start to see this push from the government as well, where they're trying to push for more like non-oil revenues in the form of like widening the tax base, getting more tax generation, because as it stands right now, compared to our African peers, like Nigeria's tax to GDP ratio is about 4%, and then we have the likes of Kenya going as high as like 13%. So there are these numbers that we need to reckon with, and we need to make sure that the government itself has that ability to earn enough. And then it's not just stopping there in terms of, how they're going to earn, but it also matters like how they're going to spend it. So what I feel like I would want to see from an economist perspective would be, making sure that that when we're spending the money, it's about thinking about how to be more productive, how to make the economy more productive, right? Because even taxes in themselves, economists like to talk about how that's more of a redistribution tool. So it's more about, taking from the rich and then, making sure that you can now like support the poor better. But then we also want to think about how we can grow the Nigerian cake or pie, if you will, so that more people can get access to more of it.
Okay, Fadekemi, let me stick with you a bit before I come over to Doctor, especially with what you said. And I want you to answer in just a few seconds. We've seen, at least recently, the giant strides of young Nigerians succeeding despite the Nigerian, Nigeria, as it were, not creating opportunities. You're seeing companies like Paystack that was just started almost like yesterday. Andela has a unicorn status now of about $1 billion. If you convert that using the NAFEX rate, 414 billion naira for a company that just was started by I think, 2 Nigerians just a few years ago. So that shows you the Nigerian spirit. But these people have gone on, despite the odds against us as Nigerians, to go ahead to succeed. Not that Nigeria put those opportunities there. So what do you have to say about that for the kind of Nigeria we should begin to see, at least from 61, to deliberately create opportunities for Nigerians in just a few seconds?
Yeah, I guess like to just sum that up in a few seconds, I guess based on the data points you've just brought up, Nancy, it's very clear that like the tech ecosystem is really booming and taking off right now. And so essentially one thing that we should definitely be keeping an eye on is the digital economy and how much of an impact that can have on taking Nigeria forward, helping the economy to move forward, because of what we've just said about like the amount of jobs that can be created within this ecosystem is, and as it stands right now, I don't feel like there's enough data on how we're going to measure the contributions of the digital economy. So, and one thing that we like to say a lot at Stears is what gets measured gets managed. So yeah. The better we start to understand the digital economy and how it contributes to the wider Nigerian economy, the better for us in terms of thinking about the policies that could help to take it forward, as opposed to bringing it back.
Thank you, Fadekemi. What you can't measure, you can't manage is also one of my mantras. If you can't measure it, you cannot manage it. And it even dovetails from how many are we? It says how many are we, first of all, in Nigeria. Let me come back to Doctor. You've heard Fadekemi and you've also listened to Taiwo Oyedele. Do you have any other thing to add? If no, perhaps we should just go into dissecting the President's 61st Independence Day speech, which I have here. Were there some things that really stood out for you?
Let me take it from Fadekemi's last point. or a point before the last one, talking about monetary and fiscal policy. Yes, monetary policy, fiscal policy, first of all, has to be more transparent. We need, like you said, data is important. We need to be sure how much debt we have accumulated, how we are going to do repayment planning, how much do we, even if you go to FIRS and ask them how much it is that we expect or we gather as tax, these numbers are sketchy. NNPC is sketchy about production prices, production numbers and prices, So how do you plan? So first of all, economic planning has to be right in terms of fiscal. Then on the part of central bank, I think that the central bank is running around trying to do its best, because managing the monetary policy in Nigeria is like game theory. You bring out the policies, and depending on how the participants in the game react, that's what determines your outcome. I know that I am a central banker, and I'll be a central banker until I die, but trust me, this generation of central bankers are doing the best they can do, trying to manage inflation, the trilogy, trying to manage inflation, foreign exchange, and interest rate has not been easy because the players and the participants in the market are not transparent. And so you see the governor and the deputy governors, as well as all the staff of the central bank, running around in circles. And by the time they bring out the policy, there are people overnight who would find out ways to go around the policy and circumvent it. And that's why we need to have like value reorientation. We are 61-year-old person is not a child. You should have achieved a lot. So now we are going back to the roots to find out what can we do more. And we need to, government owes us security, that's true, but we owe ourselves some things. Government will not do everything for us, like Taiwo said. You have to ask yourself what you can do. And I think that it is about time that both monetary and fiscal policy coordinate properly. That's number one. But on our own part, as people in Nigeria and the masses, we need to hold our people in power accountable. But before you can do that, you have to be accountable yourself, because in doing that, you'll be able to shore off production. We are talking about foreign exchange and the policies around the foreign exchange. And it's just a simple demand and supply rule playing out. If the demand outstrips the supply, then the prices go up. And why is it doing that? Basically, in the layman's language, production in Nigeria is almost nothing. We need to shore up production. We need to diversify our economy. And we need to zero in on the services industry or subsector to be sure that we are major players in the digital economy. We don't have any other thing going for us as a country for now, so we might as well jump into the digital economy with technology and see whether we can leapfrog in this economy.
Taiwo, you've heard, Doctor. What else do you have to say concerning this Independence Day speech when listening to the president, also reading his speech, because I watched him on Friday. I also got the speech. I itemized, underlined a few things. A lot of things struck out. He spoke a lot about insecurity in his speech. He also talked about COVID-19. Where is it? In fact, I also liked what the president did say. He did tell Nigerians, adhere to public health and social measures, put your mask on, and get vaccinated. Especially telling the vaccine hesitants. He also spoke about food inflation being driven by middlemen again, talking about the National Food Reserve Agency. I'm just going through it for those that did not watch the president or have access to the speech. He talked about the PIA 2021. He also talked about, what else? He talked about Infraco coming up, the infrastructure company that will come up with a 15 trillion naira. He also spoke about ICT, this digital economy which we're speaking about. What else did the president speak on? Okay, so let me just allow you. What were some of the, he spoke about poverty. Yes, that is the will of this administration to lift 100 million people out of poverty, the CCT and the homeschool feeding program and all of that. So speak to me about what you think.
Yeah, thank you, Nancy. So I think, in fairness to Mr. President, he managed to cover some of the important areas of the economy, excuse me, of course, including poverty, for example. But, you know, when you talk about food inflation, and then you blame it on middlemen, I think he's just trying to avoid the causal effect itself. So I don't think it's the middlemen. So they just probably take advantage of a chaotic situation. For me, I think what I would like to see differently, and this is not just to do with the, you know, the speech about 2 days ago or 3 days ago. It's something that I've observed over time, that politicians don't tend to focus on measurable objectives. So the president wants to lift 100 million people out of poverty. And that was a promise he made about 2 years ago. We have more people in poverty today than when he made that promise. So is the 10 years going to be after he leaves office? So it would have been great to say, at the time I made this commitment, we had this number of Nigerians in poverty, and we have lifted this number of Nigerians, you know, out of poverty. So, and that takes me to my next point about, you know, maybe it's an opportunity when we have these very important occasions to, you know, do a reflection of where we are as a country versus where we would like to be, what the challenges have been, and what we are doing about them. And then a call to action as to what everyone should do, from private sector to the investing community, to individuals, to the organized private sector, the civil society, and of course, government, not just telling us what they will do, but what they have done. So for me, 3 areas will stand out. One is around institutions. So what have we been doing? So many of us are concerned about the election in 2023 because the signs are not showing that the quality of the election process will be better than it was in 2019, which wasn't something anybody was proud of. What are we doing about the judiciary? It's still taking forever to get justice, and they say justice delayed is justice denied. I have a case, for example, where I took government to court on a personal issue where an agency was asking me to pay a bribe, and I've been there since 2013. This is 2021, 8 years. Good thing, right? So you still have issues to do with the police. That's a very important institution, as well as the regulatory environment. The second one for me is human capital development. What are the concrete steps we are taking? What is the progress we are making with education? If you know, the lecturers are not on strike today, the students will be on strike tomorrow. Everybody is just going on strike. What progress have we made? How about healthcare? How about overall well-being, right? And then the third one for me would be around infrastructure and innovation. Our inventory of infrastructure to GDP, the last time this was measured is under 35%. With all the investment we are putting into infrastructure, I'll be surprised if we have even moved the needle by 1 or 2 percentage points. The reason being that the investment is nearly not enough. And we are not leveraging private sector capital to create the right environment for the private sector to drive investment in infrastructure. Look at innovation. You made the example of the unicorns we have, right? But I can tell you, these are just, you know, some bright spots here and there, not enough to move the needle. We should have 50 of them. We should have 100 of them. And you'll be surprised that many of them, even though we take the credit in Nigeria and we're celebrating it, find out in the next few months they will move their headquarters to another country.
Yes.
So if you Google today Andela, Andela is described as an American company with operations in Africa, right? Because we haven't provided them with the right environment to grow here. So they'll go somewhere else. Even Rwanda will offer them land and infrastructure to move their headquarters there. And then we'll be here, nothing has changed. So these are the fundamental issues for me. That I hope that one day our leaders will continue to track development and progress in these areas so we can handle these issues with sincerity.
The question is, when will that one day be?